Hi, my name is Alexis Serrano, and I'm doing my film response for Taking Back the Schools. So, some of the main messages of this film I thought were just the history of the Chicano movement, focusing on the walkouts in school, um, as well as just talking about how the Mexican Americans are generally seen as the other, especially during this time period, as well as just a general sense of resistance. There's like a consistent theme of that, I feel like. So some of the aha moments in the film, uh, I thought were when they were talking about when they were speaking about the students and labeling them as disruptors, and how there was the interview where the student was saying how they're labeled as disruptors even though there's been a constant disruptance in their learning. I thought that was, I was taken aback, and I realized that that's constantly done when there are movements that are aiming to progress society. Are always labeled as disruptors or a nuisance, even though they're addressing those exact things, nuisances and disturbances. Um, the other aha moment that I had was just when they were interviewing both the sides. I realized that I know it doesn't seem too much, but I couldn't believe that the people who, like, the principal was still alive and they were interviewing him. That really made me realize that we're really not far off from this point, and this is like very recent history. And it really explains how there's still a need to progress even now, um, and explains also how racism is still alive and well today, because we're not far off from where this was mainstream and out in the public, and no one was ashamed of admitting this. So, the other aha moment I had was just how brutal they were being to Mexican Americans. It really, gave me some context to how much the Chicano movement has progressed uh, uh, during this time. So, some of the things that I disliked or liked were how they interviewed both sides, as I mentioned. And the other thing that I liked was a lot of the time they were describing a story that they had, and they had correlating footage. I thought that was really cool, and really, gave validity to their story, I guess. Um, so some things that I learned, as I mentioned before, how Mexican Americans were really brutalized during this time. Despite these people being high school kids, the police were really just treating them as like almost subhuman. They weren't really, giving them their rights, almost treating them as something that needed to be dealt with rather than an actual community with grievances. So uh, that's I really liked the episode. That's my film response.